Welcome aboard. We had a short break for Easter, but we are back. And on this week's episode, we have lots of exciting things to talk about. Some good news out of the Sony camp, but also very concerning. Mike gives us his full review of the Monster Hunter Rise story, and I test the guy's imagination in our main topic. This is TripleXP.
TripleXP.
Welcome all to episode 27. I'm Shane, and this is Mike.
All right, what's up, guys?
And this week we're joined by Cheese, a fellow member of the TripleXP team and the host of the Ponderpod podcast.
Hello.
How did you guys enjoy Easter? Our little break there?
Yeah, got even fatter. I drunk a lot. Played a lot of games.
Yeah, so a whole lot of nothing.
So just a standard weekend for you then?
Standard weekend, yeah.
Not Easter at all?
pretty much, yeah.
Just nothing changed. Nothing changed. Yeah, I mean, we didn't do anything. We didn't even have a single Easter egg in the house.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I didn't even think about it until we've just got to this episode and I've gone, fuck, we didn't even have an Easter egg.
Not even a cream egg.
We went to my wife's uncle's house for like a breakfast thing, and they gave us like these giant chocolate Easter eggs, and inside the giant chocolate Easter eggs were smaller chocolates. Let's just say I devoured that thing by like lunchtime. It was worth it.
Yeah, so, that sounds good.
So, right, clear this up for me, Cheese. In America, like a giant chocolate Easter egg, that's not like a usual thing for you, is it? Like, do you usually get those?
On Easter or in general?
Just, yeah, for Easter.
For Easter, yeah. I mean, it's typical. I mean, even as a kid, we'd get like the chocolate bunnies type thing, but lots of chocolate. And it's not good chocolate like you guys have. It's just like okay chocolate. It's just like another reason for kids to get sugar on another holiday. It's a marketing ploy. That's all it is. But it's worth it, and it works.
So I thought it was like an Easter basket that you got, and it was just like some
people do
know,
too.
like sweets and things.
Like bread and some other shit thing.
Bread?
I don't know.
Bread?
I'm
Easter
sure someone has
bread.
bread.
Not us. I mean, if you get an Easter basket, it's like jelly beans and chocolates. It's not like bread and shampoo. I don't know.
It's a gift of Easter shampoo.
But so when you said about the shit chocolate though, do the good chocolate brands not do Easter eggs? Because we have shit chocolate eggs, but we also have the really good ones.
Yeah, but you forget that I'm American and we don't have good chocolate to start with. Our good chocolate comes from the UK. We have Cadbury eggs, but that's like, I'm sure that's still a knockdown from your version of Cadbury eggs.
Probably.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Cadbury's pretty like OG chocolate.
Yeah,
it's God tier, isn't it?
What we have, it's just, it's good and it's better than like Hershey's, but I don't know. I feel like they use shit chocolate in the shape of bunnies and people buy it because it's a bunny and it's Easter.
Yeah, definitely. On the note of Cadbury's, especially as Mike, you live quite close. Have you ever been to the Cadbury's factory?
No.
Oh, mate, it's great. When I was on a school trip there once when I was a kid, just drove us up to Birmingham or wherever it is. It's somewhere up north.
Yeah, Birmingham's not near me just because I'm in the north.
I mean, it's nearer to you than it is to me. It's like, what, an hour away from you? It's like 4.5 hours away from me. But yeah, no, we drove up there and it's basically like, it's made into an attraction, or at least it was. I don't know if it is. This is a long time ago, obviously. But it was made into an attraction. It was basically like Willy Wonka. You'd go around this massive chocolate factory and it would show you how all the chocolate was made, and then you just get to eat and buy loads of chocolate at the end, because what else are you going to eat and buy at a chocolate factory?
Okay, I'm adding this to the list of reasons to go to the UK on top of beer, and then I've been told that your bread/toast is amazing. So
do have good
this needs
toast
to happen.
I mean, what I've always, and before, I mean, I know we're a video game podcast here and we're basically just talking about chocolate, but also some other things that I don't understand about America is I hear a lot that you don't have kettles, and this confuses me.
Don't have kettles like tea kettles.
This is
Yeah.
a whole episode of Ponderpod right here.
That's true.
Yeah,
We
I
should
feel
do
like
it.
I feel
This
like
would be
you
a
should do
great
this.
idea for my side of things. But no, we have tea kettles. I have like 2 or 3 downstairs. I don't use them. We just look at them. No, I'm just kidding. We have
As
them,
in-
but
But as
we don't.
in electric ones that you plug in and just press a button and it boils water in like 30 seconds.
We have them. Yeah. We have
Okay.
like that we put on the stovetop though that we use, but my brother has an electric one. We don't drink tea so much though, so we don't need like instant boiling water.
But what about coffee? You drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah, but you just put the water in the coffee maker and then it gets hot.
Oh, I suppose you've got coffee makers.
Well,
But
if you
yeah.
do pour over coffee like I do sometimes, I use the tea kettle and boil the water, then I pour it over the coffee grounds.
Well, you should definitely make this a Ponderpod episode, and I will definitely come on it and talk about my confusions about American things.
I'll add it
But
to the list right now.
the reason I thought of this as well is because over Easter, my kettle did break, and it was very upsetting.
Oh, mate, you all right?
Well, we've got one of those. I don't know if you've seen them, Mike, and definitely haven't. Cheese. The Breville One Cup.
Oh, the one cup.
Seen this?
Oh, it's a
Yeah,
pretty swanky kettle, then, mate.
yeah. So it's
Kettle,
basically a kettle that only boils 1 cup of water at a time. So because my other half drinks a lot of tea, so whereas I only drink a little bit, so we don't like to boil a whole kettle full at a time. But it broke in a
Just
way.
water.
Hmm?
It's just water. Like it's okay if you waste a little bit of water.
I mean, water costs money, Cheese, for starters. I have to pay a water bill. So, yes, I will not be wasting water because I have to pay for that shit. Secondly, the more water you boil, the more electric it costs to run the kettle. So, also, no.
Maybe America's onto something here, man.
A total of like a pound a year by wasting less water.
I mean, you'll be surprised. You will be surprised.
Maybe this is why America doesn't use kettles.
Maybe.
Just
We're
saving.
wasteful.
Hand over fist to saving.
So the way it broke though is that it has a little button on the top, and the design's pretty weird because the button on the top is also the steam vent, and the button broke, and the only way to boil the kettle was to hold the button down with your finger, but then you're also holding your finger over the steam vent. So that, I mean, we've got a new one now.
That's a real fundamental flaw right there.
It really is.
You started the Stan Bush episode like this, where you're just asking him about chocolate Easter bunnies.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Luckily, thankfully, we've got Amazon Prime, and we were able to order one for next day delivery because I couldn't have coped for longer than a day without making coffee. But yeah. Anyway, should we get into video games?
Yeah, probably.
Please.
I think we're really onto something there with kettles, though, so maybe we'll hop back onto this later.
Definitely back onto the kettles in the future. Cheese, you know the drill. Start us off.
With what I've been playing, is that the question?
I mean, start us off with whatever you want, really, but ideally, yes.
All right, so what I've been playing is the same as always. I just finished my 24th playthrough of Tony Hawk with the 24th Gator. So I have officially beaten the game with every character in the game to 100% completion.
Jesus.
Nice.
I don't think I even beat any of the original Tony Hawks once.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. Like,
Yeah.
I know you play Tony Hawk's a lot, but
I've gotten it down where I can beat most levels within about two-minute run-throughs. So about 4 minutes in a level, and you can 100% it pretty quick. So then I started to do some of the speed runs, which is kind of fun because I can literally beat a couple of them in about 50 seconds. So it's been fun. It's kind of mindless for me at this point. It's kind of
just another day in the office.
Yeah, because they've got a nice soundtrack to it, and each character has different abilities and different special moves and stuff. So I don't know. There's different ways to play different levels with different characters. So it's kind of fun. Next up, I want to start Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's on Game Pass now with EA Play or EA Now, whatever it's called. So installed that on my computer. Just gotta start it. But,
I'm looking forward to you playing that.
I'm looking forward to me playing it too because I know it's going to be
struggle.
awesome and it's going to be a struggle.
I hope you struggle
sure.
as much as I did.
The cheese is going
One of my friends one of my friends told me that he played it and it was actually really easy, and he 100%ed the game without any problem. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that too. Yeah.
There is a lot of jumping and platforming in that, so maybe stick to Tony Hawk. But speaking of, did you check like the official like speed running times and stuff? Maybe you're in with the shot, man.
There's like a leaderboard for each level, and there's like they call it like the par, so like what you should be at, like at the average. And I think I'm above average for some of them that I've done so far, but there's a couple of them that are tough. I mean, if you miss one of the jumps or whatever to do one of the challenges, you got to start over. I mean, there's a specific route of how you should bounce from one thing at a time versus trying to be like, oh, I'm going to get skate. It's like, well, no, you need to grab the S, and then grab the hydrant, and then hit these boxes, and then jump this. Like I don't know. I kind of understand now, though, having done this for the last several weeks, it seems like why there is a draw to it, like just getting better and better at the game. Like I am not good at any video game at all, except I feel like I'm getting actually pretty good at Tony Hawk. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's kind of made me see a different side of gaming where people do speed runs and stuff. I always thought that was total nonsense.
Yeah.
Total madness. People plowing through Mario, or I know I've seen people play Celeste speed runs, like insane.
Yeah.
But it's
I
fun.
find it so interesting to watch as like a thing on Twitch. Like I'll just sit and watch speedrunners like all day long.
I feel like you really have to
fascinating.
love the game. I feel like you really have to love the game to get lost in it like that. So
yeah, 100%.
for me, I guess that's tough out.
I really, just on the note of that speedrunning stuff, I really enjoy it when they do that big charity event. Was it called like Games Done Quick or something?
Yeah, GDQ, yeah.
And just because when they talk you through like some of the glitches that they use, it blows your mind. Just watching them pull these insert. I think it was a Zelda one I was watching once. It was an old school Zelda game, and they had managed to get through like this 18, 20, 30-hour game or something ridiculous in like 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's
so what is happening? Skipping entire levels just by like hitting a certain pixel at a certain time in a certain way, and it would just like launch them through the level to the next level. And be like, what the fuck is happening?
And the amount of time it takes for them to figure out those tricks. Like literally, I've played this game just 24 times on that PlayStation. That's my old one that's set up in our living room where we like watch movies and stuff. On my PS5, I haven't paid for the upgraded version yet, the PS5 version, but I'm sure I will because why not? But I already beat that with several of the characters to 100% too. So I've probably beat this game 50 times since I got it.
Oh, I don't think I've ever beat any game more than twice.
Yeah, but keep in mind that to 100% Tony Hawk, both 1 and 2, takes a total of like an hour and a half or 2 hours for me at this point. So it's not like playing God of War for 25 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's still just anytime anyone says to me, "Oh yeah, 100% of the game," in my mind now, I just go, "That sounds like a lot of work."
Well, that sounds good to me because this might be the only time I ever sound slightly impressive on a video game topic. So.
and you do sound impressive. I'm leaving this impressed. So, is that it? Anything else you wanted to add before we move on to Mike?
No, that's really it. I haven't played a whole lot of games lately. Just Tony Hawk.
Just a bit of the big T. So, Mike, then you have got Monster Hunter Rise, haven't you?
Yeah.
I know you spoke about it previously, but you've done more.
Yeah, I've just been hooked on that. It's just been my life for the last week. It's so fucking good. Like I can't fault the game at all unless you're a newcomer. It can be a bit hard. Like the tutorial's a bit sort of like what the fuck if you're new to the game, but if you're a veteran of the franchise, then it's pretty similar to World and how that played.
Yeah. What was the story like on the whole? I know the Monster Hunter story is always a bit like meh anyway, but I thought World's story was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't amazing, but like with Rise, it took about 30 hours, which it didn't feel like 30 hours at all. It felt really quick because like hunts last they're timed at like 50 minutes or something like that, so they can last a while.
Yeah.
But it did sort of feel initially pretty easy. But it's also like once you've beat the main sort of crux of the story, there's also more story after that. But that's when the credits roll like after like 30-ish hours.
Like
So the
end
credits
game
roll,
story.
and then it's like, yeah, here's the real game now. That was like the tutorial sort of thing. But it was literally like, that's the main story finished. Here's like your reward, and you saved the day and all that. But it's just, yeah, it's a lot of fun with friends as well. I've been playing with a few friends. I've been playing with Number One Gun.
Yep. How's the online functionality?
Really good. It's pretty solid especially for a Switch game, which usually they're pretty shit. But it runs really well, and you can get into matches pretty quick.
That
no
was
disconnection issues, anything like that. So technically, it's all solid. Yeah.
But that's the thing I wanted to know from before: is it easy to connect up with your friend over the Switch?
Yeah, it's a lot easier than what it was in World. You sort of have like a separate. It's called like the Gathering Hub, where you'll meet all your friends in there. And then you have like your story mode hunts, and then there's 2 separate hunts that you rank up separately. So you literally have like your multiplayer rank, which you can do on your own, but it's it's easy with friends and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And submarines.
Yeah, I still don't fucking know, to be honest. Like sort of like how you used to send like your palicos in the first game. And they'd like steal resources or something, and then they'd come back. But they're just in a cute little submarine made of a barrel, and that's a submarine. It's just a little vehicle for your cat, but it's literally just a cutscene. It's nothing special.
Oh, okay.
And you just unlock
It
more
sounded so
submarines
much
to send
more.
more cats.
Sounded so much more.
Yeah.
Although
No.
if someone came to me and went, right, we're going to put in an element of the game where you can send cats in submarines to go and do shit for you, I think I'd be pretty sold on that.
I'd pre-order. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just that sentence alone would probably sell it for me.
There's a reason PS5 had teased that cat game from the start. They were smart about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know that people want cats.
Cats sell.
So anything else about Monster Hunter Rise that listeners should know about?
It's just really fun. You should all buy it because it's great with friends to play with me.
You should all buy it because Mike wants to play with more people. He needs friends.
Buy Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
Buy it now.
Jedi will buy it.
Yeah.
He fell for it last time. He'll fall for it again.
Thanks,
I was going to
Jedi.
say, Max will probably buy it, but he'll still never play with you.
Yeah, he's always too busy.
Yeah, pretty much.
So after that, I've been playing a lot of Shovel Knight as well. I've played this game a ton before. It's probably one of my most played games on the Switch, but it's just like a little comfort game, like Skyrim is. You just jump in it and play. There's about 8 levels in total. They all take about an hour, and it's just glorious 8-bit graphics, and you get to play as a man that shovels people in the face.
What more do you want than the ability to shovel people in the face?
Well, there you go. Well, there are other knights. There's like a Spectre Knight who's like a ghost, and then there's a Plague Knight who just throws like potions at people. And then there's a King Knight, which I've not played yet. But there's like tons of content in the Treasure Trove edition. Like shit tons. Like once you finish the game, there's like speed runs and things like that you can do, or there's just loads more content. And they added like a multiplayer brawl thing similar to Smash.
Yeah.
As well, which is a lot of fun. That's got its own story as well. So there's literally 5 separate campaigns for like 20 quid.
So, what was the one called that throws potions?
Plague Knight, I think it was. He's like the green one.
Because I feel like economically, that's a really bad way to fight. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you've
he's
either
got a
got
lot.
to make or
He's
buy
got a lot of glass
enough
bottles on him.
potions.
He's just got a big cloak, and underneath it is just glass bottles.
I just feel like long term, like economically, he's doing himself no favors here.
Yeah, his glass
put that
bill is
out
through
there.
the roof, mate. It's like your water
Yeah,
bill.
exactly. Exactly. His glass bill's going to be all over the place. And then what's he putting in those? Water, probably, mixed with other things. So he's going to have a high glass bill and a high water bill.
Fuck's sake.
Just
We're gonna do a whole podcast episode about water bills and eco-friendly savings on utilities.
It's the
Pretty much.
absolute the content everyone's coming here for.
Yeah,
Listen to Mike and Shane talk about water bills.
How to save pennies. Shane, you should start a second podcast called Penny Pinchers, and then we can talk about all of this stuff, the little things you do to try to save money.
Shane's skimping.
The P in Triple XP stands for pennies.
It does. It does.
Penny pinching problems.
Anything else on Shovel Knight, young Michael?
No, just buy it. It's really good. You should all buy it.
So there you go. You should all buy Monster Hunter, and you should all buy Shovel Knight. Mike has decreed it.
Yeah, play with me.
Play with him because he's got no friends. I mean, he's got friends. He needs more.
They're all playing PS5, which I don't have yet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So on
Or not playing it that they have. I have it. I just don't play it. Just to spite Mike.
Okay, cool.
So with regards to playing PS5, that's what I've been doing.
Smooth.
So I don't know if you guys played it or saw it on PC. Well, actually, I know that Mike, you did. I don't know if you have, Cheese. But Disco Elysium, the final cut, finally released for PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
not last week, the week before.
I've kind of been waiting for a console release on this.
Have you seen much of it, Cheese?
I've heard of this game, but that's about the extent of my knowledge.
So I've not played a huge amount, and I won't go into too much detail. Excuse me, while I spoke. I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But it's got that D&D-esque dice roll decision making. So you've got different stats that dictate different things happening, and there'll be certain choices where you have to apply a dice roll to see what's going to happen. It's very dark. World building's really, really well done in it. I believe I don't know if the original version had voice actors, but the final cut definitely does now have voice actors.
Yeah, I think the original had voice acting.
And I'm really enjoying it. So, as I say, without going into any major spoiler details, essentially you're a detective in this really dark, like quite messed up town that they've built, and you've got to kind of solve some crime, but also solve a lot of figure out a lot of information about yourself as a detective as well. And there's some really comical moments, some really dark moments, including things like field autopsies on bodies and having conversations with your partner about how you believe every crime has a sexual motive. It's so far I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, like
it's not
the humor in this game for me is what like sold it to me. I was like, I need to fucking play this because it's so dark and fucked up and like just funny. It's just funny.
Well, within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I had an option that involved punching a child.
Did you do it?
Both
yes.
you did.
Yes, I did. I mean, to be honest, he kind of when you play it and you find out what this child was saying and doing, kind of had it coming. And he wasn't a young child, but he was definitely a child. But yeah, it
wasn't a strong child.
I mean, he definitely wasn't a strong child. But the thing I like about it, so when you first start up the game, you get the choice of 3 pre-built character builds, or you could build your own, where you obviously you dictate where your strength and dexterity and all those usual types of sort of like skills go. And out of the 3 that you start with, the one I chose was called something, I can't remember exactly, but it was called something like sensual or sensing. And I solely chose it because in the description it said along the lines of, this wasn't exactly, but it said along the lines of like, you are one with your faults, so much so that your character is likely to go insane. So, well, that's me sold. So I've chosen an insane detective build. So insane, in fact, that I get little pop-ups, and I'm not sure if this is 100% linked to my character build or if it happens to everyone. But I've been talking to Ryan, who's been playing it, and he hasn't been noticing it. When I'm in conversation with characters, every now and then my mind will have a conversation with itself, almost like like it's trying to portray a sort of schizophrenic element. And then my tie, which my mind believes is a living creature trying to hang me, will also then chip in and have a conversation with me as well. So I'm having a conversation with a real person, but also with my own mind and with my tie. So yeah, that happens more often than not as well. But yeah, it's strange.
I'm really hoping this just gets a Switch release, because it's like the perfect sort of pick up, play a little bit, put it down again type of game, I think.
It is, and I'll be honest, with graphically and with its, I don't think it's something that, like, I think it's something that would suit the Switch perfectly. The graphic stylings would be spot on for the Switch, but it's currently on sale. Well, it was on sale at least when I picked it up for PS5. It was £34 down to like 26.
That's a deal. So, everyone should buy that game.
Yeah, everyone should buy that game. It's honestly really good, and so far I can't fault it. But I'm only about 3 or 4 hours in, and I generally have been taking my time. Like, you know, I'd crime will wait. It can wait for me to catch up. But no, I genuinely would advise anybody to play it. It's really, really well done. Really good world building, solid voice acting, and just the humour in it, as you said, Mike, is just spot on. The other thing I wanted to speak about this week, and I don't know if either of you have watched it yet, but have either of you seen Godzilla vs. Kong?
I haven't.
Seen it twice.
No, I've not seen it yet.
I saw it in IMAX, and I saw it at home. I watched it at home a second time with my wife because she did not go with me to see it in said IMAX.
Well, unless the cheese is going to disagree with me, I would advise everybody to watch it because it is the best, dumbest film I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree with that. The human storyline was 100% pointless, but the monster fights were incredible. I mean,
yep.
Every time I talk about this movie, I always say how you can watch movies like The Fast and the Furious at home on television, and you can tell it looks like shit, like the CGI or the green screen, whatever. But every one of the monster fights, anytime they show even one of the monsters, like, it is flawless CGI that looks fantastic even at home on your television. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I watched it at home, and yeah, I agree. It's spot on. Like, Kong looks incredible. The Big G looks incredible. The storyline is it is merely a set piece to put these two monsters together. Like, the storyline is highly irrelevant.
Yeah,
it's
so
40
many
minutes
people.
Of fluff.
So many people complaining about the storyline. It's like Godzilla versus King Kong is all of the storyline I need to watch that film.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I actually saw a review that went in and was like, there was too much Godzilla versus Kong fights. Like, the film's called. Like, that would be like, as you just mentioned, Fast and the Furious, them doing a Fast and Furious film and being like, there's too many cars, they should all be walking more.
Yeah.
Too fast for me. Too furious.
It's just too fast. But
the movie's exactly what you expect it to be and what you want it to be. I look forward to whatever's next in the monster universe, but I thought it was solid, and especially for like the first big blockbuster, I suppose, after COVID, like, they destroyed box office records in the last year and a half because it's been so long. But if this is what it takes to get people into theaters and to spend, like, I have HBO Max, I could have very well just watched it at home the first time, but I was like, you know what, this seems like a movie that, very much like Fast and the Furious, that you need to see in a theater or IMAX with the audio cranked to 11 and your seats vibrating. Like, it was totally worth the $15 to go see it in IMAX when I could have just watched it at home, which I did after the fact. But I will say it was a solid movie the second time too. It was definitely worth watching again.
Yeah, and I mean, if we were allowed out of our houses, okay, I would have seen it in the cinema, but we're still not. So I paid £15 to watch it at home.
You could pay £16 and watch it in a neighbour's garden now, to be fair.
That is true. with 5 other people.
Yeah.
As long as one of those is the neighbour. But no, yeah, I agree. Completely solid. It had some fairly good, like, comical moments. And to be fair to the human elements, there was one part of the human storyline was more relevant than the other part. Like there was one part that you could pretty much just delete from the film and it wouldn't change anything that happened. But on
I
the
agree.
whole,
Yeah.
it worked quite well. As I say, the fights were solid.
Yeah, the human side of Kong storyline was decent.
Yeah, it was
It's
relevant.
the Godzilla portion, which I never saw Godzilla King of Monsters or whatever that last Godzilla movie was.
Oh, you
Great
should watch
I
film.
need to
that,
watch.
man.
I do need to watch that one. So maybe that would have added a little bit more of the pieces that I was missing from that storyline. But essentially, it's like, oh, people, and now they're in Hong Kong. And you're like, wait, what? That's
Yeah,
the entire storyline.
literally. But there was, and obviously I won't talk about them now because of spoilers. But Cheese, maybe we'll have a chat later. But I don't know if you're aware, but there was definitely a hint at what the next film could be, and what the next big baddie could be. And there was actually a hint to what could be the next 2 or 3 films, including a hint at what could potentially be like an Avengers-esque level monster film. So yeah, exciting
That would be awesome.
stuff. But I definitely think
And I don't know how Fast and the Furious even became like the perfect comparison for this movie, but this is going to be one of those series where they'll release 10 more movies and I'll see every one of them and love them, because it doesn't need to be Oscar-winning storytelling. It just needs to be nonstop, in your face, loud action that you can see in a movie theater, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've had a few, not arguments, but like just discussions with people about this. And people are like, I know people that are like, oh, but it's Godzilla, it's really dumb. And I'm like, you do realise that like Godzilla films have been out since like what, the 50s or 60s?
Yeah,
He's got something like 36 films under his belt. What other single character that isn't human can you name that has over 36 movies based around him?
Probably Dracula.
Like, I don't even think Dracula's got 36 movies.
It always
Like,
makes me laugh,
Godzilla
these kind of people, because they're always like looking at every film like it should be like Shawshank Redemption or something like that. And
Right.
It's just fucking King Kong.
It's supposed to be fun.
Monkey vs. Lizard. Like, yeah, exactly.
There is, because I used to have this one on DVD. There is a old Godzilla film, one of the many in the array of films. Not Godzilla film. This was a Kong film, but I had a triple pack, and this was again in the same universe, and it was Kong versus Mecha Kong or Robo Kong, and the genuine storyline was that humans wanted to have the power of Kong, so they built a robot Kong, because why would you not do that? But for some reason, they gave it the ability to have a laser beam shoot from its face and gave it grenades, because, again, why wouldn't you do that? And then it goes mental, so they have to go and get the real Kong and be like, can you fight our fake Kong? Because, yeah, we fucked up. that is the gist of the film.
Amazing.
That's the sort of shit where Godzilla and Kong come from. Like, that is the storylines that these films are made of. Just,
and it still works today, and we're still going to see it. It made, I don't remember what it said, $45 million opening week or something. Like, that's insane.
This is solid.
That's very good.
Really solid. So, no, well, as I say, if you haven't seen it, I advise you to. If you're in the UK, you can pick it up on Amazon and I believe on Apple as well. Obviously, if you're in the US, HBO Max, I believe, is the place to go.
Correct.
But if you have HBO Max, it's free, isn't it? Whereas we have to pay for it no matter what.
Yeah, but your HBO Max subscription is, I don't remember, 10 or 15 bucks a month. But yeah, it's been worthwhile because a lot of these movies that are coming out, you get to see. I think next is the oh crap, what is next? Mortal Kombat comes out next week or in 2 weeks, and that'll be on HBO Max for us too. So
yeah,
I might see that in IMAX though too.
So in the UK, Amazon Prime, even if you have a subscription, you still have to pay $15.99 for the film. But that's because we don't have any theatre releases at the moment. So that is the equivalent of paying to go see it at the theatre. But
that's not so bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad when you think about the cost of going to the cinema and buying chocolates and sweets and buying a drink and buying a hot dog and the petrol to get there and the time, and when you can just pay the 15 quid and sit in your boxes and watch it with like a slob.
Wait, you guys get hot dogs at your movie theaters?
Yeah.
What
They're,
the?
they're the best. They are the best hot dogs.
Oh, no, they're the worst, but they are the best.
No, they're the best because
Okay.
yeah.
We have so much to talk about on a Ponderpod episode about weird things that you guys do, because that's weird. We have popcorn, not hot dogs.
We have popcorn as well.
Yeah.
But then hot dogs is just an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
It's just an option.
Doritos,
You can get
like nachos. Yeah.
We have nachos. That's less weird than a hot dog at a movie theater.
No, yeah, proper, and they're the proper, like Mike said, they're horrible. They're shit hot dogs, but they're like the nicest shit hot dogs you can ever have.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Whatever.
Anyway, let's move on. So let's move on to our second topic, our main topic of the show. And
how big is small? How small is chain stick?
I was about to say, unlike the notes, the topic isn't the size of my penis, which we all know is very, very small.
If Shane, if you cut this, it's okay. If Shane had sex with Tinkerbell, she would still say, "Is it in?"
Fuck's sake! Right,
I'm not cutting that.
right. Serious topic time. I put together a little piece for you guys. So,
Okay.
who wants to go first? I'm not going to explain it until we've done some of it. So, which one of you wants to go first? Who wants to be ultimately the guinea pig? Because then the second person will know what's coming.
I vote cheese as the most guinea pig
vote-
looking of all of us.
What? Excuse me. Yeah, he's not wrong. I'll do it.
Okay. So, firstly, give me a number between 1 and 4.
3.
Think it through.
Now, give me 3 numbers, each one between 1 and 10.
1, 6, and 7.
1, 6, and 7.
Have you got one of those little paper things that you like?
That's what I was thinking. A cootie catcher.
Right. I am going to give you 3 criteria for a game. These are the criteria of which you need to develop a game around. So you have to, based on the criteria I give you, you need to quickly come up with what the game is you would release. Any plot points you need to tell us, any characters, and how you would sell and create that game.
Okay.
So 1, 6, and 7, yeah? So we said? Yeah. So your first criteria is it will be the genre of an MMORPG. Your second criteria is that it will be set on an alien planet.
Ooh.
And your third criteria is the antagonists will be the hosts of TripleXP. What is the game you are creating?
Um.
So an MMORPG set on an alien planet, and the antagonists are the hosts of TripleXP.
I feel like now that you've given me my criteria, I get time to think while you give Mike his criteria, and then I'll explain what I came up with. Because otherwise, it's gonna be lots of I don't know.
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair. We'll do that. So, Mike, pick a number between 1 and 4.
2.
Okay, and now pick 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay, so your first criteria is that the genre will be that of a text adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Your key selling point is when you start the game, you have 24 hours to complete it, otherwise it releases your personal information.
Ooh,
And
like a
your
Saw
third
situation.
Yeah.
I
And your
like it.
third criteria is that your antagonist is Donald Trump. So it's a text adventure. Your antagonist is Donald Trump, and when you start the game, you have 24 hours to complete it. Otherwise, it releases your personal information. What is the game that you are creating? Cheese, over to you for yours.
Man, this is difficult.
I'm going to make
I do want to tell you. I want to tell you an idea that I had for a video game one time, though, because it's kind of funny, and it actually would have worked out pretty well. So the idea was Jesus Christ Pro Healer, similar to Tony Hawk Pro Skater. But what you do is you go around and you perform miracles and save people. It was going to be amazing. You could like fly. You could do all this stuff. It was going to be amazing. All right.
I like it.
I used it.
But
I used it for a
like
project one time.
I feel
I'm
like you're
stalling.
getting off topic here. Yeah, MMORPG set on an alien planet, and your antagonists are the hosts of TripleXP. Who are your
This would have
characters?
been-
What is your game?
This would have been a fantastic thing to tell me like 3 hours ago, so I could have put something together.
No, but that's the point. Putting you on the spot, mate.
Oh, man, the only thing I've thought of so far it's just called Mars, and it's Mike and Shane being the first two humans to be launched into space and to settle on Mars. And the whole point of the game is you're given limited resources, so Shane is in charge of making sure that you use as little resources as possible to survive until you can come up with a way to create and replenish more resources. This goes back to your penny pinching for saving water and drinking tea. But it will save your life and maybe the life of all humanity.
I like it. I like it. I don't know if you're going to have a great market for that. I mean, who's your target audience with this?
I wanted the game to be called Born Free, but really it's Born 3. But there needed to be 2 games before that, before I could really make that joke. So I just called it Mars instead.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Okay. So we've got an MMORPG Mars survival game about saving resources and creating new resources. That's where we're at.
It's Minecraft in space.
Minecraft in space. Okay.
Yeah, this would have been such a better game if Jedi actually showed up because he knows the world of developing games.
I wrote it for Jedi, but obviously because he's not here, and it was like, well, it's too late to change the topic now. So we're just going to run with it.
Damn it, Jedi!
God damn it.
Before Mike gives his one, I'll give you your second selection, so you can think about that while Mike gives his one. So
I have to do it again?
yeah, 2 each.
Oh my god. Okay.
So a number between 1 and 4.
What did I say last time? 2? We'll go with, what did Mike say?
He said 2. You said 3.
Okay, then I'll do 1.
And then 3 numbers between each between 1 and 10.
8, 9, 10. Wait,
8,
2.
9, 10.
Did you say 2 or 3?
8, 9, and 10. Oh, this is a great one.
Oh,
So
God.
your 3 criteria for your second game that you have to put together. The setting is a pub's grotty toilet. Your key selling point is that your character is an alcoholic, meaning the more you drink, the easier the game is to play, but the less time you have to finish the game before it randomly dies. And
Okay.
the key antagonist is Yo Mama. Those are your 3. Those are your 3 criteria for this game. I've got your toilet.
I don't want to implement you at all here, but this just sounds like Blackpool the game.
But yeah, while you think about that, your grubby toilet alcoholic game with the antagonist of Yo Mama, Mike, what game have you created with your 3 criteria that have been set out to you?
So it's a text adventure, and if we don't finish the game in 24 hours, my personal information's leaked.
Yep.
Like how personal? How personal?
Every last piece of every single
Everything I hold
search
dear.
you've ever made, all of
gee.
your bank account details, anything that would put any level of shade on you, but also that would compromise any account that you have.
So first of all, because it's Donald Trump, the game's been called Bad President.
I like it.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's like a text adventure. Like you can't. Surely that's going to be a short game, isn't it? That game's
That
not
much
20.
text.
That game's not 24 hours long.
No, but it's 4 years long.
Well, I'm already screwed. It takes 4 years to finish this.
How do you think we felt?
I mean, it depends how much text is in it. Surely, you could have an extremely long text adventure,
I mean, I played a few text adventures in my time,
like a text adventure the length of a Skyrim game.
and I never finished any of them. To be fair, so I'm fucked. Like, take my personal info. because I am not finishing this game.
So who's you know who the antagonist is? Like who are your main characters? What is the concept of what would you have to do in this game? What's your story?
Right, I feel like
'Cause you don't have a story.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Mario would be there just as like an advisor on I don't know, plumbing, I guess, the plumbing industry.
I literally was writing the word plumbing when you said plumbing. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So you're playing as your own character, and you've got Mario as your plumbing advisor.
Plumbing advisor, yeah.
As you seek to remove the president from presidency, what is the aim?
I think the game should be like to be the worst president.
Oh, so you are the president?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're working to be the worst president, and you have a plumbing advisor.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Mario is the worst plumber, so that does make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, there we go.
So, any key story beats that you would consider for advertising this game?
Man, I don't want to get too political here.
Too late.
Yeah, I guess you end up building a wall. Like I don't know.
A wall of text.
Yeah, there we go. Text wall.
End up building a text wall. I've really put you guys in the corner with this topic.
Yeah, this is horrendous.
I feel like I'm in school right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a project and
like
I forgot about it.
I'm taking notes, like I'm fucking scribbling shit down.
Right. Well then, you've both had your first attempts, and I'll be honest, they were fucking dire. So now you've got to redeem yourself.
You're right. Sat there doing fuck all, just reading them,
mate. Leave the topics to me, and this is what happens. So
I've got one. I'm ready. I'm ready for my second one.
So Cheese is ready to hit us with his proper full game development, because at the moment you're drowning. Your company's going bankrupt. The game you're making is shocking. Before Cheese, you do yours though. Mike gets time to redeem himself by picking his numbers ready for his second shot. So what between 1 and 4?
Yeah, 4.
4, and then 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
4, 5, and 8.
Oh, so your genre is that of a dating sim.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Your setting is various libraries throughout history.
Like the library at Alexandria.
Yeah, just throughout history, various libraries.
That's the only library I can think of from history.
Just off that answer alone, I know for a fact that Ryan helped you with this shit.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Fucking knew it.
I say that he wrote pretty much the whole thing. I just rang him and said, "This is what I need."
Fuck you, Ryan.
And key selling point then to your title will be that every NPC in the game hates you. So a dating sim set throughout various libraries throughout history, and every NPC in the game hates you.
Oh man, this is not going to end well on the dating side of things.
So while you put that game together to put your pitch to me, so see if you can Dragon's Den style blow us away. Cheese, pitch your game.
So my game took place in a pub's toilet, correct? My selling point was that I was an alcoholic and it got easier the more drunk I was.
Yeah, the more you drink. The
antagonist was Yo Mama.
Yes.
So my game is called Stepdad. So you start off the game, you're in a bar, you're down on your luck, your home life isn't great. So you sit down at the bar, you order a drink, and you just keep drinking until, just similar to like Grand Theft Auto, where the screen starts to get a little blurry.
Yep.
So you stand up, you go to the bathroom, and while you're taking a piss, you black out. You wake up, but you don't actually wake up. You wake up, and you are a droplet of piss. Your new quest. Hold on, there's more. Your new quest is to make it through the plumbing and find your way to the ocean. You reach said ocean, which is Nirvana. You wake up, you actually wake up, covered in piss, to your mama yelling at you. that is my presentation for my new game called Stepdad.
So why is it called Stepdad?
Because I had to create a character where the stepdad is an alcoholic down on his luck. I don't know. Shut Mike.
So, you know, what
I
I'm
called
getting
it droplet
here
of piss. I would have given away my
I mean, it's a working title, but
for
I'm
2.5 minutes. It's a solid concept.
yeah, I'm getting Journey vibes, but you're a droplet of piss. So like that's what I'm seeing in my head is that open sand of Journey, except it's the open water in some plumbing.
Maybe the game should be called Hydration instead.
Yeah, I mean, so your droplet of piss, is it literally a droplet of piss? Are you going to put a face on it? Is it going to have a character? Like, is it going to be a living droplet of piss? Or is it literally you are just a water droplet that is
You're
yellow?
a living droplet of piss.
A living droplet. So you are going to...
Fully sentient, knows that
Yes.
he's a droplet of piss.
A sentient piss droplet. Is there going to be other piss droplet characters to meet along the way?
Yeah, they're going to
journey?
vary in color based on their hydration level. You're going to have one friend that just stinks. His name's Asparagus, but it'll be great.
I mean,
fantastic.
the more you talk, the more I'm buying this game. The more you're selling it. I think you've definitely turned yourself around and redeemed yourself for that second round.
Give me
It's
a couple
still
of days and I'll have a character drawn up and everything. It'll be great. Storyboards.
little pissy or
you've-
something.
You have heard it here, listeners. In a couple of days on the TripleXP Twitter, Cheese will release Droplet of
Pissy.
Piss.
Pithy's going to be his name.
Stepdad
Pissy.
pissy game.
Pissy the stepdad.
It's,
Fucking hell.
all I can think about now is
Maybe the game should be called Pissed or Pissed Off or something. It'll be great.
That'll
Pissed
never-
On. Who knows?
all that's going through my head now is the what you doing step bro, but what are you doing step piss?
That's kind of how it all started in my head too. I wrote down Stepdad. I'm like, this is fantastic.
But wait, there's more.
No, I like it. Yeah, I think it. To be honest, I think you could probably release that on Steam and somebody would download it.
Yeah, me.
I solely put that out there. But Mike, can you top that?
No.
Can you earn the top spot?
No.
Of the piss droplet. Your hate-based dating sim through libraries of time.
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to make a game of this? Because this is ridiculous. Like,
Hey, man, we both had to do it.
you're in a dating sim, but everyone hates you. So, like, have you got to just earn their trust, like, and just spin
Just draw
that?
from your real life experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
I mean,
Everyone
you
just
tell me.
still
Mike,
hates
it's your
me.
game. It's your game. You're developing it. You tell me how you win.
No,
it, how
we're
you-
brainstorming here, man. We're brainstorming. Yeah. So the only way I could think of making this anywhere accurate is that you play as Donald Trump, where everyone hates you.
Leave him alone.
So Donald's back. Everyone.
Yeah.
He's back, and he's now
Plays Big Dog.
So firstly, to address the different libraries, is he time traveling to try and find a date, or is he?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the
Tangent.
librarian.
He's a time traveling librarian trying to get a date, but even in the past or in the future, everybody still hates him.
Yeah, but-
automatically.
Okay, I already know how this game could work.
But when he teleports, he actually transforms into a ball of shit.
All right, now
How
I
is
feel
that
like
any
you're just,
different?
I feel like now you're just stealing cheese.
Oh,
idea.
absolutely. Yeah.
This game's called Step Bro.
It's
I
called
feel
Step
like we're-
Shit.
This is just plagiarism now, just pure plagiarism.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those Steam games that come out that are like exactly like that other game that you've played. But
I'm suing you.
I mean, maybe Donald Trump, because everybody hates him, he finds his true love through the use of Rohypnol. Just putting it out there. Some games have done worse. All right, that's what I'm saying. I'm not condoning Rohypnol. I'm not condoning any actions of that nature.
Says
to
the
anyone.
person who punched a child in a video
Yeah,
game.
Jesus
Shane.
Christ, Shane.
But my point is, some games have done some weird fucked up shit.
And you hit that button every time you get a chance.
Look, I can't dictate what my character does sometimes.
So now I'm kind of imagining like a bully type situation where you're just like a sex offender or something.
A sex offending librarian time traveler
Yeah.
named Donald Trump.
Yeah, maybe we could rename him. Or maybe not.
I think you could sell it. I think you could 100% find a studio that would build that.
I feel like this is how. Can I tell you how I would have made this game?
Sure.
I would have called it Booksmart, and you're trying to woo over the sexy librarian back at the Library of Alexandria. And so, since you're a shit person and you have zero personality, not you specifically, Mike,
Wow.
for this instance, you rely on the books and how the characters act to try to win over the librarian with the personalities of book characters. Booksmart.
Booksmart by now.
I mean, that's
this
actually
summer.
that's actually
pretty good.
That's a pretty solid idea.
Let me write that down.
I like it.
Jedi's gonna listen to this and like get famous off these ideas at his new studio he's gonna work for.
Well, that was your,
coming
that was
soon.
your,
Booksmart and Piss.
that was your opportunity to prove to me whether you could develop games, and what we've learned is that you can't.
No, the answer is fucking no. Could have told you that at the beginning, mate.
There's a design process, and you gave us 2 minutes. We had a couple of months and maybe a couple other people to bounce ideas off of.
Look, right. If you were dedicated to gaming, then you would have made that work. That's all I'm saying.
I think I did a decent job. I have a good rough draft.
I mean, you did a better job than Mike. I will put that out there. You've got at least 2 solid games there. Mike has a story of a time-traveling sex offender.
Of a traveling president for both his games.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at the list, some of the things you could have had include, so the criteria of the selling point, there's some really interesting ones in there. There's some really boring ones like microtransactions, but there's one that's comes with realistic smell generator that works alongside the game. Interspecies relationships.
God.
The entire game is played in second person. If you die in the game, it not only turns itself off, but it just deletes itself from your library.
Nice,
and yeah, and no matter what dialogue option you choose, the game will randomly pick for you, giving you completely unique, randomly generated playthroughs. We also had one of the antagonists was a sex-starved alien looking to procreate to continue its species, and a creepy fishmonger.
I really could have used those in my dating sim.
Yeah, so I mean, you can thank Ryan for putting together some of this list.
Yeah, fuck you, Ryan. Fuck you.
As I say, I literally rang him and said, "This is the idea for the game. Make it work for me." And then he did. While I was at work, he just did it all for me. He literally did all of it for me. He messaged me earlier and was like, "Have you had a look at them? Do I need to change it?" I was like, "Ryan, I've not read them. I'm just going to assume you've done a good job." And
you were just like, it's just Mike and Cheese. They'll struggle through it regardless. It's fine.
It will bring laughs, and that's what matters. So, you know, as I say, coming in 3 or 4 days on the Twitter will be Pissy,
Yes,
the piss droplet, and the time traveling doctor sex offender.
I'm so glad that I spent all this money on a new iPad so I can draw Pissy piss droplet for your viewing pleasure. But hey, I need a reason to use it.
You have now made that sort of promise that that's going to happen. So to all our listeners, if he doesn't, you are now allowed to. If we don't see Pissy in a few days' time, then just abuse him.
Cheese,
if it goes well, if it goes well, I'll make it one of my Twitch emotes.
If it goes well, Jedi, we've got an idea for a game for you. I think you should put it forward. you should put this forward as a genuine title. See if your company will pick it up
On your first day. It has to be your first day.
Yeah,
guys.
I think it'd be great for a mobile title. I feel like a mobile title would be where it really has its. Because
Pissy
I'd
on
love
the go.
Yeah, well, while you're having a shit, let's play a bit of pissy while I'm having a shit.
Can you imagine like working at a company, you've been there for 10 years, and this new guy shows up on the first day with this idea called Stepdad, where you're a piss droplet called Pissy.
On the journey of freedom.
I can already see the Netflix documentary being made.
You could literally end it with like some like really motivational quote that's like, you should always live your life as if you are just yourself or some shit like that. And then there's just a picture of Pissy like floating away in the sea, hat with a big smile on his face.
That'd be a little piss ball.
The game's just going to end with the sound of a toilet flushing and the screen goes black. Maybe yellow. I don't know yet.
I like it. I look forward to seeing where this is going. But yeah, anyway, that was
Jesus
that was
Christ.
just a little bit of fun for us to come back on as we've had a small break and test to put you guys to the test a little bit and just see what you'd come up with if I made you 2-minute game developers with some terrible criterias.
I've just come away from this looking like a Trump supporter of some kind. This has gone horribly wrong for me.
I mean, you've referred to him as a sex offender on more than one occasion in the last 20 minutes. I don't know if that necessarily means supporter. It's written out there.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving swiftly on to the news. In the news, Donald Trump. I mean, so yeah, let's move. Let's come away from this topic. Let's start tying this episode up with some news, shall we?
Swiftly throw that.
Probably
in.
the best thing to do. So we've got a lot from Sony tonight. A lot from Sony to discuss. I'm assuming the top story is yours, Mike, because that seems like a fair Mike story.
Yeah.
The second story, is that yours or is that Cheese's?
I put in 2 and 3.
Yeah, no idea.
2 and 3. Perfect. Well, before we do anything, before we start going into Sony then, because it sounds like we can all bounce off each other with the different Sony information coming out. This is solely for JB. Mass Effect Legacy triple pack game thing has gone gold. Ready for its launch. It's all on track to launch next month.
I'm excited for this.
That's good.
So am I, and it's not really news, but I felt like JB would appreciate a little shout out to the fact that Mass Effect is pretty much ready to go.
So I've never played Mass Effect at all. Never watched it played, nothing. So my tattoo artist, though, who I've spent a lot of time with in the last year, this is her favorite game, and she told me that this remaster, whatever pack was coming out, and I was like, oh, I should look into that because that'd be a great way to start playing the games versus trying to struggle through the originals.
Yeah, this is absolutely your type of game.
I'm super excited. It comes out next month, right? Like the end of the month or halfway through the month?
14th.
May 14th. Yeah, super excited. So I'm definitely going to dive into that right away, and I'm excited to play it for the first time. I'm one of those people who I just played God of War for the first time. Sorry, I didn't do anything different.
So you got one excited then. You were just like, I'm one of those people. Okay, Cheese.
I'm one of those people who plays games way after the fact. Like I just never played Uncharted. I never played any of those games, and I guess it kind of worked out because then they get remastered or upgraded for like PS5 or something, and they fix some of the weird mechanics that they had originally. So I'm really excited to finally dive into this whole trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, I've played all three, and I'm excited to replay them. Like, it's been a long time since I played 1 and 2, a very long time. And I'm pretty sure I played, because 1 was only on the Xbox, wasn't it? And it was a fucking god-awful port. It was on the PC, but then there was like a god-awful port to the Xbox. I don't know if
I didn't realize it was a port. Just because that's how I first got into like playing the Xbox. Was Mass Effect was like.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, don't quote me. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a port because some of the driving and stuff in it was fucking atrocious because the port was just it just wasn't a very good port. And then obviously 2 was more built for the consoles, or you could tell it was at least built towards consoles in mind a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to playing them. But yeah, that was just a little like I say, it's not proper news. It was just a little shout out, just because I know that JB would appreciate that. But yeah, Sony. So Sony. So we've
yeah,
got,
there's been a rumor. I'm just coming out of this. So I need to talk about it. There's been a rumor that Sony have like greenlit a full remaster for PS5 of The Last of Us, the first game, and people are like sort of in uproar in a bit, but it's very like mixed feelings on it, because a lot of people think they should be focusing on other things. I know they've denied a sequel to what's it called? Days Gone. They denied a sequel for that, sort of, and it seems like it's come at the same time. So it seems like it's in favour of a Last of Us remaster. 2 different studios though. So
well, this because this
I've never played either of those.
you know, played Last of Us?
definitely,
Nope.
Oh,
you definitely should.
dude.
I'm sure I should.
You definitely should.
Yeah, it's up there with God of War. I know you love that game.
Fine, I'll play it.
Yeah, you should. But because this heavily links into my Sony story. That's also like of some rumor news. But I'm with those people. I don't see and it's not old enough. There's no necessity to remake that game.
I mean,
if they,
I kind of see what you're saying, but for me, I think it deserves it. It deserves like the full treatment that the second one got. Like how good that second one was, like on a technical level. If the first one was completely remade.
How old is the first game?
It was late PS3 era.
But it already got a remaster for the PS4.
2013.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's Naughty Dog too. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It already got a PS4 remaster, didn't it? Because remaster came out in 2014, so a year later. So it's already had a remaster in the last 10 years.
But this is a remake. So it's like it's going to be like vastly improved. I think so anyway. So it's going to have like things like 3D audio that the PlayStation has. You know, the graphical style of Tilo 2.
I just don't see the necessity. I get it, but there's also, there is, as opposed to like completely remaking the game. Surely there's certain things I know that they could arguably patch to sort of improve on it, loading times and
like Spider-Man did.
Yeah, and like they're doing with The Witcher, whenever they get around to that, obviously. But it doesn't seem necessary, in my opinion, to remake it completely for the PS5. And
would you play it if they did?
No, I've played it twice already.
Absolutely, I'd play it.
I mean, Mike 100% would play it, but
yeah,
I've already played the original and the remaster on PS4. I played it on PS3 and then I played it again on PS4. Why would I then play it again a third time on PS5?
I think it would have to play differently than what it does. It would have to be like almost a brand new game, but the same story. Because just the way the combat mechanics work in the second game are like so much better than the first. And I feel like
I agree with.
Yeah, when you replay the first, it's like, I don't know, kind of feels simple.
And I agree with that, but then that's the same. There's the same aspect of Uncharted. Uncharted 1's combat mechanics was fucking awful. By the time you get to the fourth game's fantastic. But I wouldn't expect them to go and remake Uncharted 1 to be exactly like the combat style in Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
It's been and gone. It's happened. Surely the idea that Naughty Dog building something completely new, putting a new idea out there, building a fresh game that you've never experienced before and a story you've never experienced before is more appealing than just them rehashing what they've already done just because they know that what they've already done was popular.
Yeah, I mean, again, I do see both sides of it, but like, Jesus Christ, what was that?
That was the dog. She literally just ran out the window.
Molly!
Quite.
Do the Last of Us games play similar to the Uncharted style?
In a way, yeah, they are sort of similar in certain aspects of it, but it's not as like run and jump and crazy, and it's a lot
Struggle.
darker. And yeah.
I think they learned a lot. Because obviously they were in the later Uncharted games when they made the Last of Us games, so they had obviously learned a lot about combat and that from the Uncharted games. But yeah, it feels like an unnecessary cop out. You've got this incredibly powerful console at your fingertips. So instead of making something brand new and different and pushing the boundaries of what you can do as a studio, you're remaking a game you made 7 years ago. It just feels unnecessary to me, in my opinion.
Like, I get that, but I feel like this game's important to Sony, and I think it deserves this treatment.
But then the other concern is, does this start to set a precedent? Are we going to see Ghost of Tsushima remake for PS5 and then remade again for PS6? Are we going to start to see the first Spider-Man game remade again for the next 2 consoles? And is it going to be a case of every single time Sony has a big blockbuster game, they're just going to remake it every time a new console comes out because they know people will buy it, because we've set that precedent by allowing them to do it now instead of them doing new exciting things?
Isn't that essentially what every Mario game is? Just a remake of the same story. It's like Rescue a Princess. I know it's not an amazing story, but it's like,
yeah, but
it's still just the same concept, same characters, different game.
I suppose the argument with that, though, is like you say, is Mario isn't necessarily about the story, is it? It's the gameplay, whereas Last of Us is about the story. Like, the gameplay is second to the story. It's the emotions and the character development and the world building that makes The Last of Us a good game.
Yeah.
It's not the combat. So, although the combat in it is solid, I'm not disputing that at all. When you're building a game of that nature, like a really well-driven story game, it just doesn't, like I say, it just doesn't make sense to me. And then, does that then mean that once they've done that, are they then going to remake The Last of Us 2 again? Because they're not happy that actually now The Last of Us 1 is better than The Last of Us 2 because they've just brand new remade that? Are we just going to be in an endless cycle of them remaking Last of Us games and never making anything new?
I mean,
it's just ludicrous.
Probably not, no, because I think like The Last of Us is sort of like one of those like 1 in a million games.
Well, and like at the same time, this is Sony. It's not like this is the only thing they're working on. Like this is such a small.
No, yeah,
fraction. It applies to a lot of people who like the game, but like
no, but we're mixing up Sony with Naughty Dog.
Well, yes, I'm just saying, like even then, it's still Naughty Dog. Like there's
Naughty Dog are a huge studio that are obviously working on more than one game at once.
But with it, but they are. But we have to remember how much. Like, obviously, we're not developers, as we've just learned in our previous topic.
For yourself.
But the amount of manpower that goes into making a game, it to me, and I completely get the people that want it, but to me, it just feels like an unnecessary use of good resources.
I mean, to me, they were going to say, yeah, we're just going to remake the first and second one, like actually remake them instead of doing a third one. That's when I'd be like, whoa, no. Like, we're not getting robbed of anything else. They're just going to spend some time and money to try to make their first game better, which, yeah, I understand it's kind of pointless, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter.
If it had come out, if it had come out and like, if it had one release on, say, like PlayStation 2, I could completely understand it. But
yeah, I agree.
We're talking about a game that's already been remastered for the previous generation. So it's not like it's 2 or 3 generations ago. It's 1 generation ago.
I guess I'm curious to see what they would change then.
Yeah, I mean, that is the curious element.
I think if they bulked out that story and made it longer and worthwhile as a remake, but also what's to say that Naughty Dog don't give it to an outside studio like Bluepoint or something like that are amazing at
could
making remakes,
and maybe.
You know?
It's just, as I say, it's just concerning around that precedent. Does it, because then we could have next year they turn around, they've God of War Ragnarok's come out and they say, yeah, we're not working on God of War 3 yet because we're going to just remake God of War again, the one that we've already just released like 4 years ago, or however many years ago it came out. It just concerns me around our Sony setting a precedent by allowing that sort of thing to happen and by greenlighting that sort of thing, as opposed to pushing back and saying, actually, let's focus on new IPs and new ideas and being innovative.
I mean, Sony are like all about new IPs. Like they bring new IPs out every year.
You say that, and that links into my article. So the article that I was bringing along, and it links very much into what we were talking about with The Last of Us, is some news has come out of the Sony area to say that PlayStation are basically turning around and saying that they will only make Sony are only going to make big blockbuster games that are, in their opinion, too big to fail. So the report comes from Bloomberg, and it suggests that Sony's upper management's primary focus is on games that are too big to fail, and this comes at the expense of riskier, more inventive projects. If the picture painted is accurate, because as I say, this isn't directly come to us, it's come through Bloomberg, and it's potentially been misunderstood. But if it is accurate, then what it states here is that Sony may be losing a key facet of its identity by not only being a hallmark of the company since the early days, but also directly responsible for some of its biggest hits. And that's where things like the Days Gone sequel, they've decided to bin that off. So they've, and it does mention that here, The Last of Us remake that changed hands several times, and a Days Gone sequel that will never see the light of day. It's certainly fascinating to learn about the projects that have and haven't materialized. And this is the thing, like, if it's not Naughty Dog who are making it, but if Sony has turned around and said, we're not going to make a sequel to Days Gone, instead we're going to make The Last of Us remake, I would find that frustrating, because that to me is a bad use of their resources. To not make a sequel to one game, to just bring out a game that they already have, to me is not a good use of resources. If it's a case of we're being off Days Gone because we don't just think it was shit, fine, get it completely. Obviously, we're never going to know the ins and outs of that, because they're never going to come out and say, yeah, no, we binned it off because we thought it was a shit title. But the fact, I mean, you look back at some of the smaller titles that Sony's released, Gravity Rush, Ape Escape, Shadow of the Colossus, some of those titles. Concrete Genie has come through a Sony dev.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to turn around and say, you know what, we're only going to be focusing on games that are too big to fail, then all of those games would arguably have, if that was the same mentality they had when those games were being developed, would arguably have never been made.
I feel like this is probably just like a misunderstanding, because it's Sony. Like, they have the resources to do literally anything they want. And
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, mostly anything they want, that they have like the license to. But I think the way I'm interpreting this in my head, which again, I don't know anything, but to me, it sounds like they're going to focus on like Spider-Man and like the other stuff that they're doing that's incredibly popular. But then they'll just leave the Sony name off of stuff. It's like, I'm sure they own several developers. They might just not put the Sony name to it.
I mean, you would hope so. It just, there are Sony titles that have been out previously that I think could do with the remake paintbrush more than Last of Us could. And what this says, this screams to me, and this is, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, but this is my fear. If you look at EA and what happened with EA, took a chance with Dead Space. Dead Space was a fantastic game, and then EA just eventually binned it and just continued to release lots of the same stuff for a long time. And then they suddenly took a chance again with Star Wars and realized that actually taking risks will pay off. And I'm just concerned that Sony's going to go down that, well, let's not take risks because we know it's safer to not bother. I'm hoping that's not the case, but that is a concern of mine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that, I suppose.
Guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
again, it's
on
like rumor and speculation, isn't it? And so you know,
yeah,
take it all with a pinch of salt, I think.
yeah, definitely take it all with a pinch of salt. But on the other side of Sony, Cheese, you had some Sony news to bring to the episode, didn't you?
Netflix and Sony signed a deal where all major 2022 Sony films will release onto Netflix after they finish their theatrical run. So pretty similar to what HBO was doing with some of their connections, some of their movie deals with Kong and Godzilla, and there's been a couple other movies. Mortal Kombat's the next big one, but they've been doing simultaneous releases. So this one's interesting to me because it's basically still giving the movie a fair shot in the theater before it ends up on a streaming platform, which is awesome because I don't remember what movies. I think that the next Spider-Man movie is still going to be theater only because that's going to come out this year. But Uncharted, the next Spider-Verse, Morbius, those are the ones that are kind of
Venom.
Venom, they said was going to stay in theaters. I think that was one of the other exceptions. But those other ones, I mean, honestly, I'd be super excited. I'd see them in the theater first, but I'd be really excited to be able to go home and watch it again a couple months later for free on a streaming service that I already have. So I think that's a pretty interesting development. They must be trying to compete more with HBO Max. They must be doing really well with these theatrical and streaming service co-releases.
I think like people are starting to realize now that streaming services are just the way forward, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's kind of terrifying because I love going to movie theaters for some movies. I don't think everything needs to be seen. Like if I'm going to watch a romantic comedy, I can watch it at home with Becca and it's fine. But stuff like Kong vs. Godzilla definitely serves you better to see in a theater because it's more of that experience. But
yeah.
I don't know. We just kind of got to the point where I think COVID kind of showed people that theaters aren't necessarily necessary. And it sucks for the theaters because I know a lot of them have gotten really nice, especially in my area. Like they've put in the time and money to give it like the reclining seats and the IMAX experiences and the more food options, not hot dogs, but some of those smaller theaters are dying off, and these types of movie deals are kind of doing that, which whatever, I guess. But the fact that they're doing this where the movie gets a fair shot in a theater, a theatrical run, I think is going to be maybe a last ditch effort to see if they can save movie theaters.
I think you've got to consider, and I'm sure, Mike, this is something that definitely you thought about. You've got to consider like the cost element. So if you look at Disney, for example, was it Raya, The Last Dragons, the most recent one on premiere?
Yeah.
If Mike, you and Ellie were to take the kids to go see that at the cinema, for you for a day out at standard price without any sort of discount or anything or getting any money off, you're probably looking at somewhere close to £50-60, aren't you, to pay for you and all relevant parties?
Yeah, something like that. But I think they do that, and that's not family tickets and things and deals. And
yeah, but then once you get all the sweets that everybody wants and all the drinks and stuff, like
put them in your bag.
Well, yeah, there is that. But the point being, though, like it's going to cost you more than the £15 price to buy it at home.
Yeah, definitely, it is cheaper.
From a family point, yes, like me buying Godzilla for myself because my partner doesn't want to watch it, it's the same price as me going to the cinema on my own. But when you look at families that have to potentially pay for 2 adults and then 1, 2 or 3 different children, even at a family ticket of like £25 or whatever it would be, they're saving themselves a lot of money, and they're the people that would have never have gone to the cinema to see it purely because of the cost, but now are going, actually, I will buy it. So I think Disney have shown that actually you're opening up a potential market of people that you would never have got that money from to start with, that you are now getting that money from. And the other company's just going, actually, there are people that don't want to go to the cinema or that just won't pay for it, that will pay to see it at home because they're in the comfort of their own home. They're able to do it at their own pleasure, like when they're able to. When you consider work patterns now, if I finish work at 9 o'clock at night, last thing I want to do is get dressed to go to the cinema. I just want to sit in my living room and watch a film.
True. So I just found an article that actually details this deal a little bit more than I even knew. So this is actually really interesting. They didn't disclose the amount that it was worth, but it is a 5-year deal. People are saying to be worth almost $1 billion over the course of the agreement. But basically, Netflix gets first dibs on Sony-made or Sony-licensed movies that are being shopped to streaming platforms. And Netflix has already committed to ordering an undisclosed number of those films. So basically, Netflix originals could get better and more powerful too, because they're going to have the backing of, they're going to be Sony made that Netflix is just going to have first go at. So that's pretty interesting too. This is a huge deal. This isn't just Sony made theatrical releases. This is Sony made movies in general that Netflix has dibs on.
Yeah.
For 5 years.
Like
that's a lot of
Spider-Man. Everyone has Netflix as well.
Right.
Nowadays.
Yeah. That just means Netflix is going to up their price again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's worth it, I mean, think about it this way. If you're spending $20 a month, I don't know what it is now. I think it's like $13.99 maybe here. But that's the price of one movie ticket, basically. So if you go see one movie a month versus having access to Netflix every day, all day, like,
yeah,
that's how I justify it. It's similar to like paying for Xbox Game Pass or whatever on PC versus buying a game. Well, I mean, you can spend $15 a month and have access to all these games that you're interested in to play. That's way better than going and spending $60 on a game I'm going to play once.
Yeah. And I've done that so many times as well, like bought a full price game. Days Gone being one of them, where I bought it at full price and played it for about 2 hours and I've not picked it up since. So,
and now I can play it free on PlayStation Plus, can't I? Isn't that one of the game collection titles?
So. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think it is.
I think
so. Sometimes it pays. Sometimes it pays to be like me and not play games for years until they're no longer popular.
Until they become
free. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So, Sony doing lots of interesting things, but good, bad, who knows? But Cheese, you had one more story you wanted to share, didn't you?
This would have probably been Jedi's story, so we're just going to give him a little shout out since he decided not to be here. The Disney Parks chairman has teased a realistic retractable lightsaber in the works. They already sell the like $200 lightsaber. You got to pick your color and you go through the whole process of creating your lightsaber, whatever, at the Disney park. But there was some guy that posted a picture or a video. I don't know exactly what it was. This was just posted like a couple hours ago of this realistic retractable lightsaber, and people are going crazy. And then they got a comment from the chairman himself saying that it is real and they're not going to share any more details yet, but that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Just saying. Star Wars.
One super expensive light bulb stick to buy.
I mean, even I was thinking about I was thinking about it because I'm like, if I went to like Star Wars World or whatever it's called, like, would I spend $200 for a lightsaber that I get it's like Build-A-Bear for lightsabers for nerds. I'm like, I probably would spend the money and then just like hang it on my office wall or something, because that's part of the experience. Like, I feel like you need to have, if you're going to spend all that money to get into that park and spend a day and probably a lot of money on blue milk, then you might as well go through the experience and get a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But now if I could spend a little bit more and get one that's retractable and lights up, maybe a couple sound effects, hell yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get a lot of stick for calling it a light bulb stick.
It's at the end of the episode. It's fine.
Yeah, nobody listens to this, but it's fine.
Just title it. Just title it "Stupid Light Bulb."
Yeah, I think most people they've left by now. They've gone, oh, fuck this shit.
Thank you to the few of you still listening. We love you.
Well, for the few of you still listening, Mike, do you want to send them all off on their way?
Yeah, cheers for listening. This has been this week's episode of Triple XP. Join us next episode where we have Ginster. He's a Twitch streamer. He's super fucking awesome, really funny guy. So excited about that. If you enjoyed this episode, you've got something to say about the shit that we're talking about, then join us in our Discord. We can carry on that conversation there. And yeah, that's it. So we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
TripleXP. TripleXP. TripleXP.